Welcome to the Cardinals Countdown. Craig Fouie, Colin Harmon with you here on ABC 15 Arizona Facebook page, talking some Cardinals 22-16 on Christmas night. Colin, not the outcome I expected for sure on Saturday. I just really thought the Cardinals were going to come out and just stop the Colts running game and score some points. I thought they would win by at least 7 to 10 points, and it went the wrong way.
What was that?
It was bad.
I mean, come on.
It was bad.
Kicking game, disaster, snaps, penalties. I mean, just the whole thing. Like, how many weeks are we going to go through of this before it's corrected, Fouie?
You know, Andy Lee was out. The punter was out with COVID protocol. So Andy Lee was out. They brought in a short-term punter to replace him. Ryan Newsom, I think, is his name on the squad. And then they put Colt McCoy out there to hold for the kicks. And I'm like, every quarterback grows up holding for field goals and PATs. That's what you do as a quarterback, right? You go out, and then you've got that dual threat. Hey, it's a quarterback back there. They may throw it. They may run a fake. But you grow up doing that. And Colt McCoy couldn't understand the laces can't face toward the kicker's toe. It has to face toward the goalposts. Couldn't figure that out.
Apparently, Colt has never seen Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. I mean, it's into your head in that movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Laces out.
Laces out. I mean, it's like, it's so basic. And it was almost like he didn't practice, you know, it's like, what is going on? So then they put the punter in there later, and then we hit the upright. It was bad.
So many points given away.
Yep.
You know, it's not like the Colts played great. You know, it's another game given away, and it's tough, man.
Richard Martinez says, guess they shouldn't have put playoff tickets on sale. It messed us up. Now I have to get my money back for my playoff tickets.
Maybe we were talking about that last night. You know, maybe you don't do it right before you play a massive game against a divisional opponent where you either go up by 3 games with 4 to play, or it's only 1 with 4 to play. Like, you'll know a lot after that game. Maybe just hold off for 24 hours.
Seriously, right? Elijah says it's over when they can only win from the back door and J.J. Watt isn't healthy, or Hopkins. And obviously, you know, the Cardinals clinched the playoff spot yesterday when the Rams beat the Vikings. So the Vikings loss moved the Cardinals into the 5 seed, and they've clinched a playoff spot, which means at this point, Colin, they're on the road. And it looks like if the season ended today, they'd be at Tampa.
Fun. And Tom Brady in the playoffs. Just what you want to see.
I know. Sean Conkey says, playoff bound we are. You are right, Sean. Headed to the playoffs. And then you've got Warren that says they're screwed from here on. Did you see, by the way, guys on Facebook, did you see the Cowboys score last night against the Washington football team? Holy schmoly.
Scary.
Wow.
Scary.
Wow. And then you had two Washington players getting a fight.
Had issues. You know, Cliff talks about all these teams that have been in a rut, and he loves to point to Kansas City. It started 3-4. They've won 8 straight. You know, the Rams were in a rut. They lost 3 in a row at one point. So did the Cowboys. Lost 3 of 4 in the middle of their season after starting 6-1. You know, so he's like, every good team's gone through it. Here's where we are now. But the only problem is the Cardinals are there at the end of the season, and none of those other teams are. And now you got a Cowboys team that defensively has not been an issue for them all season, which that's not the Cowboys we've come to know over the last how many years now?
Yep.
And they're playing extremely well on the defensive side of the ball with Dan Quinn there. And now their offense is back to where everybody thought they would be. And that is a scary, scary thought going into Sunday.
Yep. Jack Moreno says they will lose the last 2 games of regular season. Murray's still too small. But let me say this, Jack. Kyler Murray had a pretty good game Saturday night. Listen, he's got so many guys around him that are, well, let me ask you this, Colin. We talked about Kyler. He finished with 243 yards passing, something like that, a touchdown. Had the one bad snap from Max Garcia that was just low. And somebody said, hey, he should have handled that. He played baseball. But it's like, that was a low snap in the end zone. He's scrambling to get it out of there, get a safety on that. And then I was asked today, I do a radio hit every Monday on 910 with Rock and Manuch. I was asked today about Christian Kirk. He's in a contract year. What do you do with Christian Kirk? And I said, look, he's dropped too many passes. I mean, the guy has dropped passes. He's gotten hurt in years past. I'm not so sure where I go with Christian Kirk at this point. I love the guy. He's a local kid, Saguaro High School. You know, he's on the team. He should be a threat. And I just don't know if I feel like I can count on him. What do you think of Christian Kirk, Colin?
He's great as a number 3.
Yeah.
Right? If he starts going into a role where you need him to be your number 2 or pseudo number 1 even, that's a problem. DeAndre Hopkins, that I had an issue with that in the game. DeAndre Hopkins is out and AJ Green doesn't record his first catch until what? End of the third quarter? Start of the fourth quarter?
Yep.
Dude, you're supposed to be the number 1. You're supposed to step up and fill this role. And, maybe it's not all on him if Kyler doesn't look his direction clearly, but still, like, have an imprint on the game. When your team needs you and your offense has sucked for the last how many weeks now, step up and be the number 1. So I know, sorry to go off on a tangent here.
No, it's
Christian
not.
Kirk question, but it's just like guys aren't stepping up, and whether that's catching balls, and drops have been a problem this season and throughout his career for Christian Kirk. But it's, they're not getting anybody to step up.
Right.
Is the problem right now.
It was drop balls by Christian Kirk, drop ball by Zach Ertz, drop ball by AJ Green, turn the wrong way by, this receiver, turn the wrong way by that receiver. I mean, it's just, it's getting to be that old, and obviously James Conner was out and Rondale Moore was out. Those are, and DeAndre Hopkins out. Those are 3 key guys on your offensive roster that are hurting you, right? I mean, those are 3 key guys that you need on that offense, but you still have other guys that should be stepping up. And as you said, AJ, step up and be the man.
Well, how about the Colts? They didn't have Darius Leonard. He's their best defensive player by a mile. He's probably going to win the Defensive Player of the Year award. They don't have him, and they didn't have a problem stopping this offense.
Right. Nope.
So
John J.D. Davidson says, blaming one bad snap. Stop it. I'm not blaming the one bad snap. I'm saying there are so many elements that you guys, and it was all about someone earlier saying Kyler's too small. That's not the issue here, folks. The offensive line is beat up. Rodney Hudson has been out for 2 games with COVID. He's back. They reinstated him today. That's a key element for Kyler, having a veteran center like Rodney Hudson. You got DeAndre Hopkins out. You've got James Conner out. You've got Rondale Moore out. You've got offensive linemen that don't know what's going on out there. And it's not just a bad snap. It's everything. It's 2 defensive linemen jumping off sides in succession on back-to-back plays, jumping off sides when their nose is over the football. How do you do that? You've got guys roughing the passer when they know better, right? You got 3 steps. Don't hit the quarterback. It's everything. It's every guy, in my mind, trying to do too much instead of just go do your job.
Yeah, I'm not here anymore for the excuses of this guy's not playing, this guy's not playing. Like, every team's going through that in the league right now.
Right.
Make your kicks. You talk about roughing the passer. I mean, how many times is that going to happen? It's Chandler Jones. It's all these guys that, how long have they been in the league playing at a, all Pro Bowl type of level? Like, stop shooting yourselves in the foot with 11 penalties.
Yeah. 11 penalties for 85
okay,
yards.
fine. Like, these happen in certain games. Well, you can't keep stringing them together. At some point, your leadership in the room that everybody talked glowingly about when they were winning has got to step up and put an end to this. Penalties have been a problem since Cliff has been here. I mean, they've been at the bottom of the league all for the entirety of it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's bad right now, but do something about it, fix it, and I have zero faith right now.
I know.
You can tell. I have none. Like, they're not even close to looking like they're coming out of it.
But we saw them, Colin, earlier in the season play great football. We saw some really good football, aggressive football, tough football, hard-nosed football, and the offense was moving the ball up and down the field. The defense was slowing people down. There was a time when this defense was a top 5 defense, and the offense was a top 7 offense, and now it's just a struggle. David Setterstrom says coaching staff needs to step up and the offensive line needs to step up. Good point.
Everybody.
Yeah. Robert says Cards got to get tough or get out. No more excuses. Next man is up is what they always say in football. Time to prove that saying now. Good point, Robert. Good point.
Listen, if it's crazy to think of how quickly this is unraveled.
Yes.
I mean, a few weeks ago, we're talking about best record in the NFL, number 1 seed, a bye, the road to the Super Bowl. runs through State Farm Stadium. You have the best record in the league for 2/3 of the season, and now you're limping in. They're into the playoffs thanks to a Vikings loss.
Yeah.
And they're going to go on the road and, play a team that is clicking on all cylinders right now. So, they got two games to try to get any kind of momentum. I don't have any faith they're going to do it in Dallas with the way they're playing defensively and the offense that they have. That's a star-studded roster.
Yeah.
Your hope is maybe they figure this out against Seattle, and that's a get-right game against a team that their season's over. Something. I don't know.
Virginia says, I have enough faith. They can do it. 2 exclamation points. Thank you, Virginia.
I know. I'm glad you're an optimist, Virginia.
Yes,
I wish
me
I had
too.
more of that in me, but I'm just I'm a cynical pessimist, Fooey.
Renee says, Happy New Year, gentlemen. Appreciate that, Renee. Thank you. Right back at you.
You too?
Yeah. Robert says, Cards don't win. Then they become dead birds, not red birds. He's got it going. You got it going. Dorothy, okay, so Fitzgerald comes back, they need you, and best way to make a decent exit. No, if you watched our newscast last week, I think it was Monday night last week, he was on with Jim Gray again and said, Jim Gray asked him specifically about coming back with DeAndre out. And he's like, no, I'm pretty good right now. I'm pretty content where I'm at. So
golf, pickleball.
Yeah.
Not hurting every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the week.
That's right. Let's see. Joanne says, why did the season change so much? Joanne, that's the question that Cliff Kingsbury is asking himself and the team is asking. It's why did this change? What happened?
It's $10 million question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it starts with Kyler and that offensive unit. The 3 games that they missed, him and DeAndre, they came back, and he just hasn't been playing with that confidence that he had at the beginning of the season. Their offense is struggling to be a shell of itself from what they were at the beginning of the season. And now defensively, we talked about it last week, that secondary, Fooey, they were really good. And that was a huge question mark coming into the season. And they were really good for the first 2/3 of the year.
They were.
And now, biggest notice you saw in that Rams Monday night game is how wide open Cooper Kupp. The best receiver in the NFL, wide open every single play, and it was the same thing the past couple weeks. It was just
Jonathan Taylor.
Everybody. Yeah. It's just,
you talk about Cooper Kupp, right? The leading receiver in the NFL. He's coming into what are you going to do first if you're Vance Joseph in the defense? Box him, right? Do some kind of a coverage inside out, up short, deep, some kind of a 2-man coverage against Cooper Kupp. Don't let him beat you, right? Didn't do it. Then you got Jonathan Taylor coming in with the Colts, and you're like the leading rusher in the NFL. What do you have to do? Stop him. Put somebody on him, right? Put somebody to just mirror him, follow him. First play from scrimmage, 43 yards down the field. They did a pretty good job slowing him down after that, but my goodness, the first play of the game, the guy that you've known all week you have to stop, reels off 43 yards. Unbelievable.
Yep. Unbelievable. I hear you, man.
Heidi says, I would like to see Cliff focus on whole team as head coach and see him let someone else call the offense. What do you think of that, Colin?
Never going to happen because that's why they brought Cliff in, was to call the offense. But I think you can flip that, and I would like to see that as well, Heidi. I think if Cliff wants to call the offense, then great, but he needs to have somebody that's a veteran coach, then focus on the challenges and timeout usage, anything else, because I don't know how you do that effectively when you're buried in a play sheet, Fooey, trying to figure out the next play and the play after that and trying to focus on game situations when it comes. That hasn't been an issue for most of the season because the Cardinals have been blowing teams out. There hasn't been late game critical situations in a close ball game. Right. But the times that there have been, especially the last few weeks, it's been an issue, and that was an issue last year.
Yep.
I'd love, you're a coach, I'd love to hear your take on it, but we know he's not giving up the play calling because that's what he loves to do.
No, that's what he does. Yeah, that's what he does.
They botch challenges and timeouts, and that's an issue.
Right. And what happens is with him, he has other guys that help him, right? He's got other guys that help him. So we know for a fact that he has guys that on the coaching staff that are there to help him with that. Special teams coordinator, defensive coordinator, offensive line coach Sean Kugler, all those guys help him with those kinds of things. So he's got other guys on the staff that are looking after those things. I just think that you said it. Kyler Murray is a little banged up. He starts getting nervous. Somebody asked the question, why is Kyler? Oh, here it is. Aaron McCabe. Why is Kyler playing like he's scared? At the beginning of the year, he was playing great. Now he's running away from it. I think he's not playing with confidence. Here's the thing. I think he's a little banged up, and I don't think he has a lot of confidence in his offensive line. I think those two things play into it.
100% agree. I mean, you've injured your ankle before. Like, when that's a nagging issue, and it is, because those things don't go away quickly whatsoever. And so now in the back of his head, I got to make sure I don't fall on it wrong, or someone, he's not running with a controlled, reckless abandon, if you will, like he was earlier in the season. And you brought it up. I mean, his offensive line play, it's been horrific.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It was great at the beginning of the year, and it has not been good. And that's been a revolving door at the position, trying to patch, a different starting five in there every single week, it seems like. So how can you have confidence when there's no continuity?
I know he didn't get sacked Saturday night. I know there was no sacks, but he was pressured a lot. And that's the problem when you're looking for pressure and seeing where guys are coming from. But I will say this, even with that ankle, he reeled off that 57-yard run in the game, but he couldn't quite beat the safety. The safety caught him with angle of pursuit. But Virginia says, why can't they figure it out, for crying out loud? Defense and offense, please work hard. We know you can do it. We saw it, Virginia. We saw that at the beginning of the year. They played tough, hard-nosed football. And there's just games where the Lions game, the Panthers game, they just rolled over and played dead.
Looking at all these comments, we got Robert saying, turn out the lights. It's just, it's crazy where we went from, less than a month ago to this point. Now you got a fan base. You're in the playoffs. Woohoo. And everybody's like, all right, the season's over. It's Sun season now.
Hey, but remember this. Kyler Murray is undefeated at AT&T Stadium from high school to college to the NFL. Never lost. Colin, come on.
There's always time for a first, isn't there, Philly?
He's never lost at AT&T Stadium through high school, through college, and here.
I was singing that tune last week, all right? You lose this clunker to the Lions. You go beat a Colts team that is coming off a great win over the Pats, and everyone's going to forget about that. And it's all right. We're back on track. Maybe we won a game that nobody thought we were going to win. I had my faith in that basket last week, and then you show up and put forth that abysmal performance. So I'm out on that. I'm sorry. I'm out.
But Colin, here's the thing. As poorly as they played against the Colts Saturday night, they still had a chance to win. I mean, that's how good this Cardinals team is or can be. They stink it up, and they still have a chance to win. The Packers game a few weeks ago on that Thursday night game. Yeah. They stunk it up, but in the fourth quarter, they still had a chance to win. And if AJ Green turns the right direction, they might have won that game. I mean, as in so many of these games, and there's been 5 losses now, 2 of them they got blown out, the Panthers and Lions. But in 3 other games, they had a chance to win those, even though they stunk it up. That's what blows me away.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, right?
Yeah, I know. It's shooting yourself in the foot and beating yourself. I think they're a good team. I just think they gotta stop trying to do too much, stop pressing, just focus on your job.
I don't know, man. I just don't know anymore.
Dominique has the answer. She says, I miss DeAndre Hopkins. No kidding, Dominique. No kidding. We all do. I think Kyler does. Definitely Cliff does.
I mean, that's his safety blanket, and for the offense as a whole, you force the defense to focus so much on one of, if not the best wide receiver in football. They are so disjointed right now without DeAndre Hopkins on the field.
Yep.
It's like Kyler has no idea where to go with the football. I don't, it's like DeAndre, he knows where he's going to be, and we're good. If push comes to shove, I'm going there. I don't care what kind of coverage is on him. There's a better chance than not DeAndre's coming down with the football. And I just don't think there's that level of confidence in anybody else right now.
No, Michael Moreno says, what's the disconnect with Kyler and AJ Green? They rarely seem to be on the same page. And Michael, my honest opinion, I don't think AJ knows the offense yet. I think he came in and he just hasn't learned the intricacies of the offense. That's just my take. He's made too many mistakes, too many wrong routes. Too many things that have gone wrong so far. I think he's still on a learning curve. It's way different than what he had been with Cincinnati.
You know, I would like to see. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Kyler and AJ, you know, we've seen it on like the Lions interception, for instance.
Yeah.
You know, Kyler throwing his hands up like AJ didn't come back to the football. Well, he throws a pick and AJ stops, doesn't try to chase down the guy. You know, it's like it's an effort thing. And both of them kind of have like a whatever, you know, it's Kyler's attitude. I know that's been talked about before. That's not the difference between wins and losses, but it's frustrating when throws his hands up and blames everybody else, you know. Right. And I feel like that happens with both those guys kind of looking at each other, like blaming the other guy. And that seemed to have happened several times this year. And, you know, you could be spot on with maybe he just doesn't really know it yet. That would surprise me, though. For a guy that's been at the top of the league, you know, 31 years old, been around, like you'd think this far into the season, he would know it by now.
But the terminology is different, and he's just been in this. He's been in that Cincinnati Bengals offense, you know, for most of his career, all of his career, and I think there's just some nuances, and especially with Kyler, he's never played with a quarterback like Kyler, and so you have to adjust on the fly. And I think every offensive lineman now for 3 years will tell you with Kyler, you have to adjust on the fly. You don't know what he's going to do and how he's going to get out of trouble. So receivers are in that same boat. They have to adjust their routes. They have to move. They have to adapt. And I just don't know if he's doing that yet.
You don't think the Red Rocket has the same kind of mobility that Kyler does? Andy Dalton slinging it?
Shocking. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you guys with your comments. I'm sorry we didn't get to more of them, but you can see them there on the side. They're fantastic. We appreciate your interest and your support of the Cardinals. And listen, it's Cardinals at the Cowboys at this point, Sunday afternoon at 2:25 our time. We'll see if that gets flexed anywhere, but it should be a great game and should be a fun one. I hope it's a great game, Colin. You're not so sure.
Prove me wrong. I would love to see it. Get some faith back in the Red Sea and everybody else, and it'd be awesome to see them go on a playoff run. It's just you got to show it. You got to snap out of it at some point, Fooey. Come on.
Yep. We'll see you next Monday night at 7 right here on ABC 15, Arizona's Facebook page. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you. Happy New Year.